What's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio, right here on itmiradio.com. You just finished listening to Court of Champions, hosted by Smooth Gentleman. He's on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Check him out. I hope everybody had a good week and a pretty good WrestleMania filled weekend. Some of you may have watched it, some of you may not. And thanks to WrestleMania, I've came up with a new segment, and I'm going to debut it right now. The name of the segment is called My Pay-Per-View Pros and Cons. I'm going to do this for WWE and TNA pay-per-views going forward. Oh, and by the way, next Wednesday is next week it's the 1 year anniversary show of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Yes, there is a ringing sound, and I just don't. I'm very frustrated by it. I've been dealing with this for quite a while now. I'm still trying to fix that. So all I can say is bear with me. But yeah, there is an annoying ringing sound in the background. But hopefully you guys can still hear me through it. So let me go ahead and debut my segment. Now, we all know pros being good, cons being bad. I'm going to start with the bad first. Just get it out of the way. So, one of my guests is joining me in the chat room right now, Ruthless Lala. Hey, there, Lala. What's going on? Thank you for listening. She's going to be calling in at the bottom of the hour. So, first-time listener, make her feel welcome. She's a guest. She's going to be calling in at the bottom of the hour. What's going on to Ruthless Lala? So yeah, Travis. No, you're not crazy. Let me go ahead and get to my cons of WrestleMania 28 from this past Sunday night. Number 3, the Divas match. I love Maria Menounos. I think she's a nice lady, but she did not belong in that wrestling ring this past Sunday. She tried. She got beaten up. I give her credit for that, because you know how these celebrities don't like to be hurt or bruised or abused or anything like that. I give her credit for at least going there and taking a beating, taking some contact. Yeah, she fought through it, but she didn't do a single wrestling move. And no, the stink face does not count as a wrestling move. I'm not feeling it. Again, did I mention I love Maria Menounos? Yes, I did. Beth, Kelly, and Eve, they did their thing. Maria, she only gets an A for effort. She only gets an A for effort. But other than that, for trying, for at least going through there and taking a beating. Other than that, she just didn't belong in that wrestling ring. And I'm going to just leave it at that. Number 2 on my WrestleMania cons. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. 18 seconds worth. The only good thing about that match was the crowd chanting, "Yes! Yes! Yes!" That was the only good thing about it. You give these two a second chance to be at WrestleMania. Give them an opportunity to be on the grandest stage so that everybody that actually watched it can watch it. And this is all we get, 18 seconds. I mean, I did predict correctly that the Sheamus was going to win, but 18 seconds, to quote The Miz, really, really, really. And I'm going to get to my rest of my pros and cons a little bit later because my first guest at this time is calling in. Nikki Lane from MLW, one half of the MLW Tag Team Champions. And she's joining
Hello.
me right now. Hello.
How are you?
Doing real good. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So go ahead, talk a little bit about yourself and how did your wrestling career got started.
Well, let's see. I got started probably 10 years ago in a little town called Batesville, Arkansas. And I started out as a valet. And then a couple of years later, I decided to train to wrestle. I found me a couple of girls. We started kicking butt. And I've been doing it ever since.
Now, I first heard of you through MLW, which is a custom wrestling website. You've grown to be one of the top or popular names out there, a well-respected wrestler. Uh, what made you decide to be a part of MLW? How did that came about?
Well, the owner, he had called me and he kept trying to tell me he had some great talent there. And I kept looking them up and I Googled them and YouTubed every girl that was there. And, well, he was right. He had some good talent. So I thought, well, that'd be a challenge for me. So I took my shot and I went up there and I've been with them ever since. And like you said, I made it to the top.
You are currently one half of the tag team champions. You formed a tag team called Smoking Justice. Your tag team partner is Jennifer Justice. How did that tag team came about? Was it MLW's idea, or was it you and Jennifer to put this team together?
Well, it was a mixture of both, really. I got kind of screwed out of my title shot that I had, and Jennifer stepped up and kind of took my back on it. So I decided, well, we kind of know each other a little bit, so we decided we just try it out, and we've been tag team champion ever since. Nobody has taken our titles, so that's why they put us as, because they call me Smoking Hot, and they call me that for a reason. And then of course she's Jennifer Justice, so now we are Smoking Justice.
Now, I believe you and Jennifer are going to be at the upcoming MLW tapings this coming Saturday, which happens to be Easter weekend, correct?
Correct, but I unfortunately not going this weekend, so I have a benefit show that I'm going to be doing for New Bern, Tennessee.
Okay.
But I will be. I will be there in May. I will be back.
All right. Other than that, talk a little bit about some of the other wrestling organizations that you work for.
Well, I done this promotion called ASWF. It's close to my hometown, and they grew pretty big. And then I decided to just do a little bit more traveling, so I go out to Tennessee. And ever since I've been here with MLW, I've been getting a lot of bookings with Tennessee area. I'm currently working for RWA Paragold Show in Arkansas, and that's pretty much it right now.
Uh, who do you consider as influences in your wrestling career?
Hmm, that's a good question. Let's see. I would probably have to say Jazz, but there's others too. There's also Queen of Destruction, Destiny, and a little bit.
Again, for those who just tuning in, I have Smoking Hot Nikki Lane here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Of course, you can check her out. Download her matches over at MLWonline.com. I got a question in the chat room from Brownie Master, and apparently he always want me to ask this question, considering he's a fan of this person. But he wants to know, are you a fan of Randy Orton? That is a question from Brownie Master.
Am I a fan or in?
Yeah, are you a fan
Gonna,
of are you a fan of Randy Orton?
I'd have to say, yes.
Got right to the point. That's good.
He has some great talent. You know what can you say? I mean, he's entertaining. He's got a look, and he's got what it takes. So,
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Nikki. Last week on the show, I interviewed Austin on the show. Um, Now, do y'all do some wrestling together as well, like the wrestling valet or tag team?
occasionally we haven't in a long time, but we have in the past. Yes. Um, we've been doing this for 10 years together. So I get booked where he goes, and he gets booked where I go. So, but yeah, I don't ask much ballet for him. That's kind of the old days.
What is your thoughts about women wrestling today compared to what it was when you first debuted in the wrestling business? What's your take on women's wrestling from then to now?
I'd have to grown quite a bit. We got girls that are actually interested in getting in there and actually learning the wrestling moves and techniques. I think I think there's more of it. To be honest, like the indie shows, I say there should be more female wrestlers there, but I actually think it's grown quite a bit. I mean, it's really good for everybody, women, men, and some promotions like to keep it old school, which is great. I go for the old school. I'm not much of a high flyer, so I'd rather keep it technical.
All right, so let me ask you this, Nikki. If you can have a dream match, or better yet, is there any wrestlers out there that you haven't worked with that you would like to work with in the future? Anyone out there, male, female, pro, or indie circuit? Is there any other wrestlers out there that you haven't worked with that you would like to be in the ring with or against?
Oh, well, let me see. I've had worked some pretty much some TNA girls, so I've, I actually have to say I would pick Velvet Sky from TNA.
All right, Velvet Sky, formerly known as Talia Madison. She's definitely come a long way. She's very talented in the ring, so that will be an interesting smoking hot against the woman who says let the pigeons loose. uh,
Maybe it'll happen.
so my next question for you is like, of course, we are days removed from WrestleMania. Did you, by any chance, watch the pay per view this past Sunday? And if so, you have any favorite moments?
To be honest, I did not watch it. I caught a glimpse of it here and there, but I did not watch it. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. um, Let me ask you this: is it ever a goal of yours to wanting to be in other like women wrestling shows such as WSU or Shimmer? Uh, as far as that is concerned, is it a goal of yours wanting to be in WSU and or Shimmer at some point?
It's not really a go for me, but if the opportunity ever comes about, I would probably take it. But as far as trying to get there, no, it's not. I mean, they got great talent. I know some of the girls that are from there, and I love working with them at MLW. It's just it's just basically travel. I like to stay a little local and build my name here. So,
Under,
like I said, if the opportunity ever come about, I would probably definitely take it.
Understood. Definitely work your way up, and when the time is right, then the door will definitely be open for you.
Right.
Uh, Let me ask you this: what would your advice be to anyone out there? that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler, what would your advice be?
Just have the heart for it. You gotta know you want it, and when you actually get the chance to get it, take it seriously. I mean, it's daily training. I mean, you gotta know what you're doing. So, like I said, you just really, really gotta want it. It's all in the heart. If you want it, you'll definitely get it. And just train, train, listen, and learn.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners how they can learn more from you? Go ahead and promote your Twitter, your Facebook, and any other links you have out there.
All right, like I said, I got Facebook. It's under Nikki Lane. I also got MLW Nikki Lane. Uh, Yahoo.com. You can email me with any questions. That's absolutely fine. I got my Twitter at Nikki Lane 83. You can hit me up there. Any questions? I'm always available. I'll be willing to answer any questions anybody has, or if you just want to be a fan of mine to say hi, drop by and say hi.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, Nikki. But it was great talking to you. Best of success goes out to you, and of course, you will be at the May MLW tapings. You can go to MLWonline.com and book her some matches.
That's right. You got to see Smoking Hot Nikki Lane in action.
And of course, Amber O'Neal, for what I heard, is going to be there. Um, Jelena, a wrestler who I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, she's going to be there. And some little bit, she's going to be there. And a couple other MLW favorites, as well as Smoking Hot Nikki Lane. Go to MLW online on how to book matches. You can be in charge. You get to pick the opponents, how long the match is going to be, the outcome, all sorts of stuff. You get to determine. You get to book a wrestling match. You get to be in the booker's shoes, to say the least. So, again, MLWonline.com for more info. Nikki, thank you for your time. And you tell Austin I said hello. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and I will do.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
Uh, that was Smoking Hot. Nikki Lane, one half of the MLW Tag Team Champions. Ruthless Lala, who is in the chat room right now, will be my next guest in a matter of moments. Um, we will zoom back to my WrestleMania pros and cons. Uh, Number 3, I gave you the Divas match. Number 2, I gave you Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. Now, here is my biggest WrestleMania con, and I will get to that momentarily. My biggest WrestleMania con is the fact that John Laurinaitis and his team pick up the victory. And now WWE fans like myself have to see this man on TV twice a week. if you rooted if you rooted for Team Johnny this past Sunday night, shame on you. And be careful what you wish for. I rooted for Team Teddy. That was probably the only match of WrestleMania that I was rooting. I was rooting for Team Teddy. And you can all thank Eve Torres for that. Team People Power, that's your quote unquote error. That's your quote unquote, beginning. Ugh. Team People Power. That's just and Smooth Gentleman says Johnny Ace doesn't belong on TV or as an executive. It's a dark day for WWE fans, and if you rooted for Team Johnny, be careful what you wish for. I'm gonna go and get to my WrestleMania pros a little bit later on the show. So my WrestleMania cons is the Divas match, Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan, and John Laurinaitis' team winning. I could care less about who got the pinfall or everything else. I just wanted Team Teddy to win, and that wasn't the case. It's a dark day. But I will get to my WrestleMania pros a little bit later on the show. Ruthless Lala will be calling in a matter of moments. You know, I should at least get to one of my WrestleMania pros while I wait for Lala. Um, my first WrestleMania pro, I'm gonna go for 3-1. My third WrestleMania pro would have to be Punk versus Jericho. Better yet, yeah, Punk versus Jericho. I enjoy the match. Um, I I think it lived up to my expectations, and I'm gonna get more on that because Ruthless Lala is calling in right now. Ladies and gentlemen, my second guest at this time, coming to you from Texas. She goes by the name of Ruthless Lala, and she's joining me right about now. There she is. Hello, Lala.
What's going on?
I'm I'm doing real good. I just seen you in the chat room earlier. Thank you for listening and thank you for calling in tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, sir. My pleasure. My pleasure.
So you want me to call you Lala or Rufus Lala? I mean, it's up to you.
Whichever one you like. I don't, either way, you're pronouncing greatness, so it's okay. You can call me either Rufus or Lala.
I just refer to you as Lala then. And
All right.
one of my listeners, Andrew, a good friend of mine, he loves the name as well. So, uh, Rufus Lala, it's got a nice swing to it.
I think so. I try every now and then.
So, which kind of leads to my first question. Um, what made you name yourself Rufus Lala? How did that name came about?
Well, when I started in the business, it was one of the things of, at first I was called the, and the reason why I was called the anti-diva was because I'm not your average chick. I'm not the girl that put on the makeup, that put on the half naked outfit, that got showing her boobs and her butt. I'm the chick that wants to just get down to the bottom. I just want to come in the ring, I do the best, beat ass, and go home. So, first it was the anti-diva. But some women didn't have big girl panties on and to wrestle me, which went from me women to wrestle guys. And it wasn't like one oh, it was a horrible match. I was toe to toe with the guy because I am doing ruthless. I dog collar match with Chicano Martinez, and it was a blood match. I don't really do home the court, but at the time I had a lot of haters, and so I had that I am good. And after I wrestled him, toe to toe, he named me the bitch in Texas, Ruthless Lala. And the ruthless just came because it was like, wow, I've never seen a chick that can stand toe to toe with a guy, and the name Ruthless.
How did your wrestling career got started?
My wrestling career started in Arlington, Texas, at Professional Championship Wrestling. Was trained under DJ Turner, DeMarco, and I ended doing my last training with Q Road. The main trainers were Steve DeMarco and DJ Turner and Lance Hort. And that's how I got started. I started out, and there was a lot of friends who didn't expect I was going to make, and women wrestling was frowned upon in Texas, because 90% of the women, get booked on other things besides their wrestling. So, it was kind of hard. So hard. We had everything against me, but I stay hard, I stay strong, I didn't quit, and we kind of parted me, and kind of parted our ways, and I just started the journey.
And what else? Now you live in Texas. What are some of the wrestling organizations do you work for?
I'm the women's champion at Total Championship Wrestling in Austin, Texas. I do actually next week on the 14th in San Antonio, Texas for Women's Wrestling, RTW. I wrestle for TWA, RWW. I wrestle for NWA Singers. I wrestle for PWS, wrestle for PWS, SWWA, oh God, NCWA, WBW, uh, Jesus Christ. uh, yeah, that's just some of them.
Now, I've watched some of your matches on YouTube, and for a girl of your size, you have a lot of ability. You, you're all power and physicality. Um, and I don't know if I'm sure you get this a lot, but do people ever compare you to another wrestler, as in Karma, formerly known as Amazing Khan, who's similar of your size with all the power and everything? Do you ever uh, get those comparisons?
Actually, I do. I really do. And it's always fun, because that's actually the one main thing I. Oh wait, and so wild is an artist. That's Rodney and Jazz Motion. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. But no, back to the subject. Yeah, we always have a tendency to put me in the same category as Karma and take it as a huge honor.
For those who just tuning in, you are listening to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. I'm joined with my second guest of the evening, indie pro wrestler out of Texas. Ruthless Lala is joining me. If you got any questions in the chat room, feel free to post them down, and I will ask her the questions. Who?
And the champion, don't forget.
There you go. um, who were your influences in your wrestling career, and who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Um, oh wow. Whoo! I want to answer that question. I grew up watching, Chuck Dog, Hulk Hogan, um, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker. Those were my main two. I mean, I remember when Triple H first hit, when the Navia and Uncle Steve Austin, and that's really a develop the root character, because my main ones were Shawn Michaels, Taker, Randy Orton, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, those are my favorites because I kind of, I should say, I can kind of blend with them, speak to me because I love how you capture the crowd. I love how every time Shawn came out, he talked to that crowd. Whether he was a good guy, whether he was a bad guy, I couldn't help but to get on your feet and cheer for him. Even Cold Steve Austin, he was, Stone Cold Steve was a cleaner, and he can kind of put people off, but the dude's showmanship was so amazing, you didn't have no choice but to be Stone Cold. He was the kind of guy you hate to love. The same thing with Randy Orton, same thing with Undertaker, and that's how pretty much how I am. My influences would be my best friend, Steve DeMarco, who was also my mentor. Like, he stood by me when nobody else did, and for my other would be Rogue, Mr. B, and one of my tag partners, Pimp, and BZ Bank,
I have
and
a
Rodney.
I have a question in the chat room from Smooth Gentleman, the host of Court of Champions, which also is on itmiradio.com. He wants to know, what's the most memorable match you ever had?
Whew. Okay. Hard one. Uh, memorable. Can I give two of them?
Go right ahead.
I would say one of the matches I'll never forget would be when I went toe to toe with Louis Martinez. Like, the guy is like 6'5", like he's a huge, like, and like, for me to stand my own, to dish the game as much as he dished it out to me, that meant so much to me, and like I will never forget that. Um, the second one would be the triple threat match I had for actually the TTW Women's Championship. It was me versus Angel Blue versus Jordan Grace, and we just went out there, killed each other, and I love when men or men lay it in, and so that's going to be one of my most memorable matches.
Now, you talked about, the heels a little bit while ago, which kind of leads to my next question. When you are in the ring competing, do you like being the baby face or do you like being the heel?
Oh, heel, hands down. I've been a face, I've been the baby face, and for me, they have a lot of sayings of being a heel is very easy, but being a face is what's hard. I disagree, and because in my line, I would say I'm one of the baddest heels in Texas, but people love it so much they shoot me. I mean, I've literally seen kids cry, and by the time I was done, kids were cheering, asking for autographs, cheering, and want to take pictures. So
You being the heel and all, have you ever had any confrontations with fans? Has there been a point when a fan says something that maybe went a little bit too far? Have you dealt with those type of moments?
oh my God, all the time, all the time. You know what? I in a way because if I don't have confrontation, that means I'm not doing my. You know, like I've had fans wait for me after the show. I've had fans, try to attack me. I've had fans say, get a leash. Dogs out. Like I've heard every.
Wow. People try to attack you. They must be out of
Yeah.
their damn mind. I mean, have they not look at you? I mean, you ruthless Lala. I mean, you nothing to play with. So whoever.
That's why I keep
Oh,
I
go
keep
ahead.
saying it, but
Go ahead.
oh no, I'm sorry. No, I was just agreeing with you. Like apparently, people think wrestling is so they feel like, you know, out me outside of wrestling, I'm a punk. But, I did kickboxing, I did taekwondo, I did Muay Thai, I'm very well rounded, I'm an army brat, so I know how to defend myself all the way around.
And my last question for you, Lala, is go ahead and tell the people how they can learn more from you. If you have a Facebook or Twitter or any other links you have out there.
Oh, definitely. If you want to check out the baddest bitch in Texas, literally the best in Texas, I'm not sure what nobody says, hit me on Facebook, facebook.com/the Ruthless125. You can get my fan page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/ruthlesslala. You can even tweet me at ruthlesslala. Check out my stuff on YouTube. If you want to check out some of my stuff on YouTube, just type baddest bitch Lala 55. And oh my God, like, in my face. You can just Google me. Like, a lot of people pop up. I'm Googleable.
All right, Ruthless Lala, check her out. The Twitter name is it Ruthless Lala, one word put together, or there's no underscore?
Just one word for Lala.
All right, Ruthless Lala is her Twitter name. No underscores, anything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, Lala. Great talking to you. Thank you for being in the chat room earlier, and thank you for calling in this evening. Best of success goes out to you, and again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me on. Like, I was very honored. And you guys take care. And happy anniversary. And I don't for calling and let me next week.
Thank you so much. Truly appreciate that.
All right, you guys take care. Have a nice
Uh,
night.
all right, bye bye. That was Ruthless Lala out of Texas. Baddest chick in Texas, I tell you. As I was saying, I finished my WrestleMania cons and I was in the middle of my WrestleMania pros. I've the first number three, Punk versus Jericho. Um, I enjoyed that match. Again, I'm on record saying I'm not a fan of the family mentionings and stuff. Smooth also have not feeling that neither, and other people out there as well that I have talked to. But other than that, it was a good match. Uh, Punk Punk took a beating in that match, especially on the back. You know, Chris Jericho puts you on that walls of Jericho, gets that grip on you in the middle of that ring. There's nowhere to go. I'm surprised he survived on that one, but I enjoyed the match. It was, the crowd reaction, not much there. I mean, there was some CM Punk chants, there was some Y2J chants. Uh, I enjoyed that match. Uh, and Punk and Punk's got a lot more WrestleMania moments left in him. He's the face of the WWE, and as far as I'm concerned, WWE will go as far as Punk go. Um, he's got a huge weight on his shoulders, and he's the man. John Cena is no longer the man. CM Punk is, and he wanting this. He wants a bullseye on him, and he's got it. So he's the man right now, and he'll go, and WWE go as far as he goes. Uh, Punk, I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of Jericho, and it was cool to see them compete on the grandest stage. Now, my WrestleMania Pro number 2, Rock versus Cena. As I said, I didn't think it was going to be the best match of the night, but The Rock looked impressive, just like Survivor Series. He's been getting trained by Kurt Hawkins, of all people. For those who don't know Kurt Hawkins, he's a former tag team champion with Zack Ryder. And not only did he train The Rock, but he also trained Chris Jericho for months leading up to their WrestleMania matches. So apparently, Kurt Hawkins got some time on his hands since, you only see him on Superstars or NXT or whatever. But The Rock looked great. Cena he may not be a heel, but he had some heel moments. He smashed Rock's ribs right on that announcer table. And then when there was the close pinfalls, he was looking at the ref funny, like a heel would. He was like 1, 2, 3. No, referee was like, no, 2 count, Cena. Cena has, whether you like the guy or not, he's become a commodity. Um, when The Rock came back, he wanted to go after Cena. Oh, and please believe me, I will get to the Brock Lesnar return momentarily. Um, but he's a commodity, and like it or not, Cena, I thought he held his own. And let's be real, Rock versus Cena, so much better than Cena versus Miz at last year's WrestleMania. Hands down, no questions asked. The Rock looked like he can wrestle for a good 2, 3 more years if he wanted to, but due to other obligations, he can't do that. He's got G.I. Joe Retaliation. He's got the finishing up the movie Snitch. And as for Cena, he'll still be around. He's in his 10-year Who would have thought Cena and Orton would now be considered the old guys at the WWE? They are the quote unquote old guys. I know how people knock on TNA for the elderly, for their elder talent. But, Cena and Orton, I believe, are in their 30s, at least somewhere in the 30s area. Uh, but Cena debuted his new shirt, no longer the black shirt. He's got the Boston Celtic lookalike logo with Rise Above Hate at the top, C Nation at the bottom. And I thought it was really witty of one Machine Gun Kelly taking shots at The Rock, calling him an ego, and the Miami crowd didn't take too kindly of it. I honestly thought that, as expected, The Rock got the hometown treatment, the hometown welcome, and the hometown victory. I thought it was funny that Cena attempt to do the people's elbow, and then Rock got up, went for the rock bottom, 1, 2, 3. But my number one WrestleMania pro, I tried to say to myself Punk and Jericho or Rock or Cena, but I truly loved Triple H versus The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell, the end of an era. It was dramatic. The fans were into it. There was close pinfalls. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. I wanted more. I wanted more of Triple H and Shawn Michaels. That was a brutal match, no doubt about it. And the sledgehammer was actually used this time. Undertaker, say what you want, as he's getting old. I guess I might as well put Undertaker in the Cena and Orton category as being the old guys. But then again, Taker is not there every single week. He's not around every single week like Cena and Orton is. So I don't know. And now the speculation is that going to be Undertaker's last match? If that's the case, then good for him. Me personally, I think it's his last match. As for Triple H, he'll come back every now and then. But Undertaker, I believe that was his last hoorah. That's what I felt after WrestleMania ended. 20-0. I mean, you can't get any better than that. What is left for you to prove? And that's been my problem on a lot of wrestlers. Try to wrestle for way too long. The two matches you had with Shawn Michaels was classic. The two matches you had with Triple H, I like this year's better than last year's. Smooth Gentleman says he can have at least 2 more Manias. Money talks. That definitely would play a role in that. That's no denying that. But there just comes a point when these wrestlers that's just been around for a long time. Undertaker's been around since before the Attitude Era. He's been around since the early 1990s or the early 80s or the late 80s, if I recall. I know he debuted in Survivor Series, but I forgot the year it was. So Undertaker's been around for a long time, and that's what I felt after WrestleMania. But then came Monday night. The shocking return of Brock Lesnar. Did I think Brock Lesnar would ever come back to the WWE? Hell no. After the fallout between he and Vince leading up to WrestleMania 20, and then he went on to pursue a career in football, trying to be a Minnesota Viking. That didn't work out. Then he tried MMA. He succeeded, made the most out of his UFC and WWE career kind of goes hand in hand. He wasn't there on both sides for a long time, but he made the most out of the time that he was in both organizations. Now, of course, he won the UFC Heavyweight Championship. I mean, you can't take that away from Brock. He was a decent MMA fighter. At least I thought he was decent. Um, and then health came in. His health issues took him, sidelined him for a year, and he lost the title. And remember, Undertaker was at the UFC event on the night that he lost the UFC heavyweight title. He was getting interviewed, right? And as Brock Lesnar leaving the octagon, and he was on his way out of the octagon into the locker room, and Lesnar goes past Undertaker, and Taker was like, "You want some of this? You want to talk?" And the person that was interviewing Undertaker asked him, "What's going on between you two?" "It's something personal," Undertaker said, whose real name, Mark Calloway. Um, and that led people to think what Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at this year's WrestleMania. But Dana White said that's not going to happen as long as he's not going to step foot in the wrestling ring as long as Brock Lesnar is under contract. Well, after his last MMA fight back in January, he called it a career. I did not think that he was going to come back to WWE this year. I thought maybe next year. I thought since his last MMA fight, he was gonna have a low profile and get healthy, and then maybe next year he'll be around. But I think it was a good timing for Brock Lesnar to come on the night after WrestleMania. Um, as for Brock Lesnar going after Cena, I think we all know Brock Lesnar versus John Cena at Extreme Rules. Maybe. I know Jericho and Punk will have their rematch. Uh, Definitely Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. Hell, I should be a booker for the WWE. That's just my assumption, though. Brock versus Cena, Punk versus Jericho, and Bryan versus Sheamus, unless Del Rio gets himself in there with a win on SmackDown. But we don't do spoilers on this show. I don't look for spoilers. Um, but all I know is, according to a wrestling news source, report, not everybody is happy that Brock Lesnar has returned. Translation: The Undertaker is not happy. And I guess a majority of young talent aren't happy. And also in this wrestling news source report, not a whole lot of people were happy that The Rock made his return last year. Um, it's easy to assume who out of the talent is not thrilled that these two men coming in take away their airtime or whatever. But then again, you guys are on Superstars. It's not like you're gonna get a lot of airtime on Raw or SmackDown. Um, and as for Bronny Master, posting this report about Tough Enough winner and surreal life reality TV star Maven arrested in Florida on Monday after cops say he was doctor shopping to get his fix of painkillers. Law enforcement sources tell TMZ cops uncovered Hoffman gone on to 3 doctors. Yeah. I totally agree with Smooth's comment. Should though. WWE needs to build for the future. Um, so I can understand why some of the people, some of the talent backstage, not thrilled that the Rock has came through and that Brock Lesnar has come through. I mean, money talks, I guess, as they say. You got some nice young talent. Well, maybe not young talent, but talent that could go to the next level. You know, the Dolph Zigglers, the Kofi Kingstons, the Jack Swaggers. Uh, I mean, who else I could think off the top of my head? But those are just examples of guys that has come a long way. And as far as they need to, that's what WWE. Say what you want about them, but they do a good job of building talent. They do a good job in that. Uh, but I guess The Rock got time from his movie schedule, and Brock Lesnar ain't got nothing else to do. His MMA career is over. So, but it at some point you gotta start building new talent. I mean, you got a lot of young talent out there, but you know, let them get their shine. I guess. But Vince McMahon, he makes the final call and all these, I guess, and the ratings haven't really been all that high for WWE since the Attitude Era, and they needed a ratings push, obviously. So Rock came in, and Brock came in. So, but you got some talented young stars. That's just waiting for their opportunity. Um, this Brock Lesnar thing better work. You better hope that Brock Lesnar kind of transform into The Rock, because The Rock, when he was at Survivor Series and WrestleMania, he looked in great shape to me. I mean, he looked great. He was very crisp in all of his wrestling moves. He looked like he never left. I wonder if Kurt Hawkins is training Brock Lesnar too. You know, is it me, or does Brock Lesnar looks a lot more built now than he was, you know, from his MMA days? You know, the guy, he kind of looked. What's the word I'm looking for? He kind, I guess he, yeah, he kind of looks flabby. I guess he kind of looked like he gained some pounds, extra pounds, maybe a good 10, 15, 20 pounds. Now, he didn't take his shirt off, so I can't tell from that. I guess people, he just looked a little chubby to me. Um all I know is Brock Lesnar better transform into The Rock. He better have a Rock like performance. Cause he hasn't been in a wrestling match for 8 years. Rock prior to Survivor Series 7. I mean, wrestling is not something that you do and you step and you go away from it and come back and you like, oh, everything is all dandy. No, 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 no. You got to go back to the fundamentals. You got to go back to everything. You got to go back to all the things that you know beforehand. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot. His last match was in New Japan. Uh, Speaking of Japan, there's a new guy that made his debut named Lord Tensai. And that guy turned out to be the man formerly known as A Train. And I looked some things up about A Train, who's now Lord Tensai. I didn't know that since his release from the WWE, he was in Japan. Uh, I know former WWE wrestler MVP has done some wrestling in Japan. Uh, and he's according to his tweets, and I read his tweets on Twitter. He's very happy with that. He's happy being in Japan. Um, and according to MVP, he asked for his WWE release about a couple of years ago. So apparently he's happy, being in Japan, and he did a rap video too. So, but back to but Lord Tensai, he looked good. He looked more in shape than Brock Lesnar. I can at least say that Lord Tensai, he looked in better shape than Brock Lesnar did. He didn't look like he gained or lose pounds, anything. He looked like the same that he was. Uh, Bloom Tensai, who was Giant Bernard and NJPW, improved tenfold there. Was great there. Um. So yeah, I know MVP used to be there. I know a couple other talent used to be there. I guess the best way for me to watch the Japan matches, is over at YouTube. Um, but he looked in better shape than Brock Lesnar, and he had his short match against Alex Wiley. But he looked like he's good to go for his second term with the WWE. Uh, why do they empty the purse for Lesnar when he's not in shape? Uh, I guess Lesnar's agent must have played a role in that money. We have a kissy face. Um, Whoever that may be, hello and welcome to Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. You can change your name by clicking your name on the right side of the chat room, and you can change your name to whatever. And the same goes to Booby Boo, Bobby. Yeah, Booby Boo or Bobble Boo. And I am not responsible for the chat room names. It's just the chat room and how they work around here. Uh, but to answer your question, Smooth, I think the his agent may have played a role in as far as the money for Lesnar to make his return. You know, I mean that's their job to get the most money as possible. Uh, and but you would think that the agent have to take a look at Brock Lesnar and say, when the last time you went to the gym? When the last time you work out? When the last time you lost weight? When the last time you actually got in, shape? You know, but number one priority for an agent is to get as much money as possible. And apparently they did just that. Um and now I finished my WrestleMania pros and cons. I honestly thought majority of WrestleMania was good. I enjoyed watching it. Um, I can live without the Floor Water and Machine Gun Kelly performances, but other than that, I thought it was overall was a good pay per view. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward for the WrestleMania DVD to come out so that I can check out the Hall of Fame induction ceremony in its entirety. I want to hear Mike Tyson's, and I want to hear the Four Horsemen, and I definitely want to hear Juan Simmons. I heard JBL was hilarious prior to inducting Juan Simmons, so I can't wait to get that WrestleMania DVD when it comes out in a couple of months. There's been a lot of debate on the Chris Jericho and CM Punk segment moments after CM Punk got counted out by Mark Henry. And after John Laurinaitis was through talking, out comes Chris Jericho and he gets a bottle. It kind of looked like Jack Daniels to me. I couldn't get a good look of exactly what it was, but it apparently looked like an alcoholic beverage to me. And I guess insult to injury, he poured the drink on CM Punk, who labeled himself as straight edge, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. And again, Jericho mentioned Punk's father. And then he went on to get another drink, another bottle, and smashed it on Punk's head. I mean, WWE is known for pushing the envelopes at times. But do you guys and girls think that maybe that was a little too far? I mean, it's hard enough you got to deal with the family mentions, but do you guys think that the what Jericho did, pour the alcohol on him and then smash the bottle on him? Did y'all think that was too far? For a guy who wore the whole straight edge on his sleeve, you know, maybe Jericho did went a little bit too far. But hey, you go with what the script says, I guess. And Punk, if Punk had a problem of, you was hoping it was Pepsi or something. Yeah, Punk loves the Pepsi. I think he would have preferred Pepsi pour on him rather than an alcoholic beverage or or a Jack Daniels or whatever. But you gotta go with the storyline, I guess. If Punk had a problem with it, then that would have never happened. CM Punk wants to be the quote unquote face of the WWE. You gotta have these type of moments when you're vulnerable, when you look vulnerable. Um, John Cena dealt with it, Triple H dealt with it, Undertaker dealt with it. But difference is, this guy doesn't drink at all, and he doesn't smoke at all. He don't do drugs. More power to you, Mr. Punk, sir. But you're the face of the WWE, and you're gonna have to deal with, moments like this past Monday you know, when the straight edge thing is out the window for that particular point. Uh, but Punk's a tough guy. He'll deal with it. He'll shake it off. He'll move on. Um, Speaking of The Rock, it's pretty clear after his promo this past Monday night, this ain't the last of The Rock. And at the end of his promo, he said he would like to be WWE champion again. Now, I'm guessing maybe next year's WrestleMania, perhaps. Rock has already confirmed he will be there. Uh, it don't look like we're gonna have a Cena versus Rock Part 2. So we shall see. We shall see what happens. Uh, my next guest just called in moments ago, and for some reason my next guest just tried to call in moments ago. For some reason, and I'm keep getting hit with this web browser. Stop wanting to script crap. So let me take care of that first. It's funny. It talks about my web browser acting up, but I still can see the chat room just fine. All right. Another guest, the guest is calling back in. Wait a minute. Now I'm getting two guests calling in. Hold on a second. Let me get this first person. Area code 559. I had one guest scheduled call in at 9:15. and had another guest schedule calling at the bottom of the hour. Uh, Caller, you're live on Chilling with Jeff and Kenny C. I mean, on Triple Threat Western Radio, excuse me. I'm sorry. Caller, you're live. Hello?
Hi, this is Savannah Riley.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing real good. Thank you so much for calling in this evening.
No problem.
So Savannah, talk a little bit about yourself and how did your wrestling career got started?
Well, right now I'm a pro wrestler and valet for Pro Wrestling Bushido, out in Modesto, California. I got started because I was a black belt in mixed martial arts, and I saw WWE on TV, and it got me a little interested, so I decided to start wrestling.
All right. So, what are some of the wrestling organizations that you work for?
I work for Pro Wrestling Bushido, the Pile Driver Pro Wrestling, Reno Wrestle Factory, Supreme Pro Wrestling, and all of those are based out of California.
For those who just tuning in, I am joined with Savannah Wiley out of the West Coast here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio, right here on itmiradio.com. Name some of the wrestlers you have been in the ring against, who you have worked with throughout your career.
I've worked against Tara Calloway, Buggy Nova, Karai Hime. I've been in the ring with a few guys, Daniel Torch, Rick Luxury. That's pretty much about it. I've wrestled them several times, each of them several times. So. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm familiar with all those names, including the females, especially Tara Calloway, who I interviewed last year. What was it like working with Tara?
It was good. It was a good experience for me. It was the first time I wrestled her. I wrestled her up in Reno. It was a mixed tag match with her and Vintage Dragon, and it was me and Sir Samurai. So it was a good experience.
What else? You have any upcoming matches?
Right now we have our show. It's Pro Wrestling Bushido, the Warriors Way Tournament. It's April 29th. We've got Davey Richards on the show from ROH and Dragon's Gate. He's headed out to New Japan, so it's the last time he'll be in California working an indie show. So that's pretty big news for us. But as my own matches, I think I have another match coming up against Karai Hime in May.
All right. So, who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Well, growing up, I watched a lot of WWE, so to me, like, now that I'm a worker, I don't like to admit that I watch WWE, but growing up, I watched Raw and stuff like that.
How would you describe your wrestling style? Are you a technically sound? You do submissions? Are you power?
I do. It's geared more toward MMA and submissions, like mixed martial arts and jump. So I do a lot of submissions, a lot of high flying moves.
All right. So, what do you consider as the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
Wow, haven't really thought about that one. I would say getting to wrestle Buggy, since Buggy is so well known in SoCal, and now she's off to WWE. I think that's something awesome. So I think wrestling Buggy was one of my biggest achievements so far.
Is that a goal of yours that you would like to pursue at some point? Go to WWE or TNA or any other major organization?
I used to want to go to Ring of Honor, but they kind of faded out. So I guess now, the goal is to get either to Japan or to TNA, so something like that.
Yeah, Ring of Honor, they don't have much of a woman division. They just focus
Yeah,
mostly on the guys. So, um,
maybe get Shimmer. I would think I like to go to Shimmer.
Shimmer or WSU. Um, Now, that's a lot of those organizations are on the East Coast, and obviously you reside on the West Coast. Like, other than that, do you have any more goals you like to set for yourself?
Um, I eventually one of the people that I would like to wrestle, a goal that I have wanted, like a person I've wanted to wrestle is Sarah Del Rey. And I know she's been to Japan a lot, and she's been in Ring of Honor quite a bit, and now she's in Dragon's Gate. Well, she comes out with people at Dragon's Gate, but she doesn't wrestle there. But she's one of the main women that I have set my eye on that I would like to wrestle in the future.
All
So
right.
that's my goal is to eventually be able to wrestle Sarah Del Rey.
Oh, that's a great one. Sarah Del Rey, absolutely. One of the premier talent out there today. Again, I'm joined with Savannah Wiley here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Um, why don't you go ahead, tell listeners if you have any links out there. You got Facebook, Twitter, anything else you have out there.
Oh yeah, of course I have my Facebook page, Savannah Riley. I have my like page, Savannah Riley on Facebook. I also have my Twitter, which is Savannah Riley PWB. I also have my YouTube account, which is Savannah Riley PWB. On my YouTube, I have some pretty interesting stuff. I have my web blogs that I do. I'm gonna start those up again. I should be starting doing another one probably at the end of this week, so Saturday maybe. My web blogs are basically just me doing stupid stuff and my husband and the whole Bushido crew. I catch it on film and it ends up being pretty funny. So
And again, for the Twitter, it's Savannah Wiley PWB, correct?
yes,
That's all put together, no underscores in between.
nope, just PW Savannah Riley PWB.
All right. So this is a question I ask most people, but what is your takes on the current Divas and Knockouts division? What's your take on both divisions?
Um, well, for the knockouts, I don't really watch TNA that often because I don't get a chance to. I'm usually doing training or working out or doing something, and I don't have TiVo, so can't really watch it. But I mean, I've seen a few weeks of the Divas on WWE. I just got done watching WrestleMania. Um, I think that WWE doesn't use their Divas to their full potential. I know Beth Phoenix has worked in Shimmer, and she's done a lot better than what she does on WWE. I don't really think there's very much like other than Beth Phoenix or I know AJ Lee. She's got some talent, but again, they don't use her to her full potential. They use her, she's a distraction now. So I don't think they use her to the full potential that she could be. But I mean, other than AJ and Beth, I really don't think there's much at WWE for divas. I mean, they could do a lot better, but I'm not there. They have a job there, and I don't, so I can't really say much. I don't want to knock anybody or disrespect anybody like that, but I just think WWE could use them better if they let them go to their full potential.
All I've been hearing when it comes to the divas is, well, they don't get a lot of airtime, but I haven't heard much of them playing up to their full potential. And I mean, they have the likes of a Beth Phoenix, they have Natalia and AJ,
Mhm.
and I'm starting to like Jimmy Snooker's daughter Tamina as well. Um, and I guess the knock on them is they get too caught up of trying to look for quote unquote models, and so
Yeah, yeah, that's a big thing. They're trying to look for the girls that are skinny and they're pretty. Most female wrestlers aren't skinny and pretty. They're heavier. They're. I mean, I'm not saying that female wrestlers aren't pretty. I'm saying that they're getting caught up in looking for actresses
mm.
instead of wrestlers.
So let me ask you this, Savannah. What would your advice be to anyone out there that wants to pursue their career as a wrestler or a manager or just want to be in the wrestling business? What would your advice be?
I would say go for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I would go to school first and do everything that you need to get done.
All right.
Wrestling takes a toll on your body, and if you don't get all that stuff done, you're not going to be able to do it later on.
You mentioned WrestleMania a little while ago. Do you have any favorite moments, any favorite matches from this past Sunday?
CM Punk and Jericho, uh, I honestly think that was the only good match that was at WrestleMania.
I
I
li-
thought the Bryan Danielson and Sheamus match would be good, but they only let him go 18 seconds, so
the only good thing about that match was the yes chance. It it took
pretty much.
it took the quote unquote WWE universe 3 4 months to finally catch on to it, and how big for it to happen then on the grand stage. Um, like yeah, that's the only good thing about it is the yes chance.
Right.
I think it's starting to become the new what chance apparently. So we'll see how that goes. Again, you can check out Savannah Wiley on Facebook and on Twitter under the name Savannah Wiley PWB. I know another guest just tried to call in a little while ago. Another wrestler from the West Coast, Nikki Matthews. I'm going to try to get her on in a matter of moments. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, Savannah. Thank you so much for
All
calling
right.
in. Thank you for your time. Good talking to you, and best of success goes out to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye bye.
Bye.
That was Savannah Wiley joining me, and my Skype getting on my nerves a little bit. I keep getting hit with the stop wanting to script, so I need to. So I'm gonna see if I can call back the other guest, Nikki, in a matter of moments. Have a honey bunch joining us. Hello, bunch, and welcome to the broadcast known as Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And yes, I did have a slip up. I mean, I do two separate shows. And that's the first time I called this show Chilling by accident. So, yeah, I am aware of that. so, so right now, my Skype has been acting up. And now it's not responding. I'm starting to get a little irritated of my Skype right now. Okay, my final guest is about to call in. Let me go ahead and add her to the conference. And I believe joining me at this time is Nicole. Are you there?
Yes, I finally made it through.
Uh, it's a, thank you so much for joining in, and I apologize. Skype has been acting up as of late, so my apologies.
Oh, you're all good. I know how.
So Nicole is joining me. How do you pronounce your last name, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, technically, my ring name is Nicole Savoy, but if you want to pronounce my real name, it's actually Matthias.
I'm gonna go with Nicole Savoy.
All right.
That would definitely be a lot easier for me. Um, so Nicole, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself and how did your wrestling career got started?
Oh boy. I guess I'll start with how my wrestling career started. I originally started here on the West Coast. I was a valet for two wrestlers called MPT, Mr. Primetime, and Rick Luxury. I mostly valeted them at places like Fog City Wrestling and NAW. And then I eventually made my way over to the East Coast, and I wrestled for promotions like Vanguard Championship Wrestling. I've done Primal Conflict Wrestling, and then I've done what is a place called SPW on the East Coast.
What was it like?
And
You go ahead.
no, go ahead.
What was it like making that transition from being a valet into a wrestler?
um, it was a lot different. At the time that I was valeting, I really didn't train. Once I got to the East Coast and I got into the Gilberg's wrestling school, that's when I started to learn how to do moves and chain wrestling and everything. So, I mean, it really wasn't like a difficult transition. I mean, it came really easy to me because I'm, naturally athletic. So,
Speaking of the Gilbert Academy, I interviewed someone recently from that same academy, and you had a match against her. Her name is Jessie K. Um, and you had a match with her. What was it like working with Jessie?
I love Jessie. We work really well together. We know each other's style, how each other moves in the ring. She's definitely aggressive, which she definitely can bring out the best in people. So I love wrestling her.
And what was it like being in the academy with someone like Gilbert, who's, been with the WWE? I know there's other trainers out there, but what was it like being in the academy and Gilbert working with you?
Um, I have nothing but like respect for them. They definitely have like a set way of training, and they definitely, not only do they, show you things, but they show you how to be safe. That's like their biggest concern. When I went into it, and I met Gilbert, it was a lot of expectations.
Again, I'm joined with Nicole Savoy here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio, here on this Wednesday evening. For those that's still in the chat room, thank you for listening. Um, I've been reading your post on Facebook, and you had some comments about Brock Lesnar, and that was the talk after WrestleMania. I talked a little bit about the show earlier, and I didn't think he was going to come back. But what was your reaction of?
I was shocked. I really didn't think he was going to come back, and that's what I told people. Once he retired, I thought he was going to do what like Ken Shamrock did, and just stay out of it. So it came as a shocker when I saw him on TV.
I honestly thought that he was gonna, after his MMA career, I thought he was just gonna keep a low profile, um, keep a low profile, and I thought he was gonna keep a low profile and get healthy, cause that played a huge role of his MMA career ended. Um, but I guess money talks. I guess, and he got nothing else to do. So Vince and Brock obviously bear the hatchet, and he's back, and he's sending the message loud and clear towards Cena. So, um, did you also by any chance watch WrestleMania this past Sunday? And if so, uh, what were your thoughts about it?
I didn't quite catch the Undertaker Triple H match. I did see the Divas match, and then I caught like the last three matches, which was like the six-man tag, the Chris Jericho and Punk match, and then the main event. And all I can say about the Divas matches, I really wish they would stop bringing in celebrities.
I love Maria Menounos, and I do, but she just doesn't belong in that ring. Broken ribs, Dancing with the Stars, but it is a so there's always has to be celebrity involvement when it comes to WrestleMania, and that's why she came through. But I'll take her over Snooki. I'll take her over Snooki, but celebrities, if they really gonna get involved, they really need to be trained. And I watched the match as well, and I don't think she ever did a single wrestling maneuver. And no, the stink face that she did does not count as a wrestling move.
Yeah.
But that's here and there. Um, Let me ask you this: who are some of your favorite matches that you've been a part of in your career?
Well, so far I'd probably have to say that me versus Jesse K. That's probably been my first favorite. And then when I was wrestling for Lucha Extreme out here on the West Coast, I wrestled a female luchador named Pink, and she was really fun to wrestle as well.
And is there any wrestlers out there that you haven't been in the ring against or with that you would like to work with in the future?
Yes, my dream match has always been against Lufisto and Manami Toyota, who is a Japanese female wrestler over in Japan.
All right, I like her as well. I love Lou Fiesto. She's truly talented. Um, I'm getting a question in the chat room from Smooth Gentleman. He wants to know. Well, I know the answer to this question, but go ahead and promote your links. Go ahead and promote your Twitter, Facebook, and other links out there.
Right now, I'm building my website. The only thing I have is my Twitter, which is twitter.com/Nikki M. Savo. It's NIKIMSAVO.
All right. So definitely check her out on those links. And also, do you have any upcoming matches and appearances?
In August, I train at the Sacramento Wrestling Federation Training Center, and I know that they were coming up with things. So I definitely can say by August I'll be wrestling again.
Again, I'm joined with Nicole Savoy here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. What would your advice be to anyone out there that wants to pursue a career in wrestling? What would your advice be?
Always be a student. Pay attention. Get like any advice you can from like the veterans. Always pay your dues. Get in there and ring, take it down. Always eyes open and ears open.
Sorry about the background. It's my sister, and Sorry about that. Let me ask you this. Who were your influences in wrestling? Who did you like growing up?
Growing up, I definitely would say Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. Um, who else? Chris Jericho, because I just liked the way he worked the mic and how he was in front of the camera. I've followed Trish Stratus ever since she was like a manager, and like I just loved how she went from being a manager and improving and being like the diva of the decade. And right now, I can say my biggest influence is Davey Richards.
All right. The another question. The Twitter. Nikki M Salvo.
Yes,
Yeah. So that's NIKKIMSAVO. That's the Twitter name. Make
it's
sure.
1K. Sorry.
Yeah. NIKIMSAVO. So that's her Twitter name. Check her out. Football info. We her tweets. Check them out there in the West Coast. Um, is it a goal of yours at some point to compete in other organizations such as Shimmer and WSU?
I eventually want to make it there. Um, I would also like to go over to Japan. And I mean, hey, if TNA and WWE open their doors, then I would definitely jump on those opportunities.
All right. So, my next question for you is like, what else do you like other than wrestling? Do you play any other sports prior to wrestling?
I used to run track. I've played basketball. I've done Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and just like a little bit of like amateur wrestling.
Let me ask you this. As a whole, what's your thoughts about women wrestling right now? As far as not, because obviously a lot of women started off as valets like yourself, and then they ended up becoming wrestlers, and have to work twice as hard as the man does to get the respect. What's your take on women wrestling right now?
In all honesty, I think it's better on the indies. Um, Also, like I just feel like as a woman, we definitely need to step it up. I mean, every day in training that I go, I try to outdo the guys. So what the stuff that's on TV, I mean, it's not like how it was when like Trish Stratus and Jazz and Molly Holly and them were wrestling. Like I wish it was, but if people want to see like great women's wrestling, it's on the indie circuit.
Oh, I love the indie circuit. There's no doubt about that, and there's a lot of talent out there, not just on the East Coast, but on the West Coast as well. I like a lot of them with the likes of, WSU, Mercedes Martinez and Sarah Del Rey, and, the list goes on and on. But as far as compared to the indies and to the pros, you know, I say the indies on the woman wrestling side has the advantage right now as far as talent wise and personality wise. So, uh, what again? What's it like working in the indie circuit? Um, Out there competing in front of gyms and not necessarily stadiums, but what's it like interacting with the fans? Something that some of the big organizations you don't see. But what's it like just being in the indie shows and interacting with the fans?
Oh, I love it. I mean, when they come to the shows, from what I've seen, they want to come to, be entertained and they want to see like wrestling, you know, and like a lot of the fans, like versus them watching, women on TV and then women on the indies, like they're more excited about a women's indie match than they are about the divas on TV, so it's kind of cool to see that.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. It was great talking to you. We got this interview we scheduled. Uh, Great talking to you. Got a lot of respect for you. You have a bright future, and again, I want to thank you for your time, and best of success goes out to you. And again, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
You have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Bye bye. That's my last guest of the evening, Nicole. I actually interviewed two Nickies this evening. Nikki Lang, and now Nicole Savoy. Nikki and Nicole kind of goes hand in hand anyway. Um, that concludes my interviews of the evening. I interviewed four indie pro wrestlers. Next Wednesday night is the show's 1 year anniversary, and I'm bringing back former guests from the show. I can now confirm primetime Amy Lee. Smooth Gentleman would get a kick out of this next person's name. Casey Carlisle and the great Cheyenne will be calling in as well. Um, so that will be what I have in store next week on the 1 year anniversary show, and that will be my last Wednesday show before I move back to Thursdays starting April 19th. And my guest on the April 19th is the wrestler formerly known as Jamila Craft. That would be Jenny Rose from WSU. She will be calling in a couple of weeks from now. I will be back on Thursdays starting April 19th. I will be on one more Wednesday, and then Smooth Gentlemen, you got Wednesdays to yourselves. And you got Wednesdays to yourself. You can go further at 8 o'clock if you want, man. But thank you for sharing Wednesdays with me, man. Um, Nice double header we got here on itmiradio.com. Um, I will eventually get to TNA in just a moment, considering they have the lockdown pay per view coming up. But I think, yeah, Alberto Del Rio made his return, and he may get caught in the middle of Sheamus and Daniel Bryan. Um, and I think I think in the end, come Extreme Rules, it will be Sheamus versus Bryan. Alberto Del Rio wants to get his piece of the pie, obviously. Um, so yeah, Del Rio just needs to do more than just as far as his mic skills. You know, you could talk about more than talking about destiny. It's my destiny. So hopefully, while he was recovering from an injury, he has some other really clever stuff to say other than talking about destiny. I'm waiting for him to say, "I have my destiny's child." I'm waiting for him to slip on the destiny part, call it Destiny's Child or something. I don't know. I think Kofi Kingston defeated Cody Rhodes. Uh, let's see. Miz defeated Zack Ryder. Eve doing a good job on the heel role. I mean, she's embraced. Maybe she should do something that John Cena ain't done. Embrace the hate. I think Eve's been, she was caught up in the Cena and Kane feud earlier this year, and apparently she done embrace the hate. Just something to point out there. Just something to point out. So yeah, that pretty much conclude my WWE portion of the show. On, of course, SmackDown. Uh, Ryder defeated McIntyre and Jericho defeated Kofi. That was pretty much leading up to WrestleMania. So I kind of went in reverse there. Now, I can get into some TNA from last Thursday night. Um, Austin Aries. I mean, very un Austin Aries like. He came in and wanted to team up in the main event. Forgot I should have closed my door. But Austin Aries was in the main event, I believe, and he teamed up with James Storm to take on Bully Ray and Bobby Roode. And it's interesting considering that Austin Aries is a heel, because you know when a heel gets beat up by another heel and he wants to team up with a baby face, and eventually the heel turns his back on the babyface tag team partner. But that didn't happen. Aries and Storm were on the same page and picked up the victory over Bully Ray and Bobby Roode. Velvet Sky defeated her fellow former Beautiful People teammate Madison Rain. The Crimson and Morgan. Was it Crimson versus Morgan? Yeah. That ended in a double countout. Um, of course, Mr. Anderson defeated Jeff Hardy. Um, there's already some matches lined up for Lockdown. We know Rude will take on Storm. I believe Jeff Hardy takes on Kurt Angle. Um, and of course, I did an interview recently with a former OVW wrestler named Venus Venus. You can check that out in the archives, on the Ustream archives over at or at chillabroadcasting.com. Click on the TTW Radio tab. Uh, if you like people, please like the Facebook fan page. Click on the link on the left side of the chat room if you haven't already. Like me on Twitter. I'm getting my Zack Ryder on self-promotion at TTW Radio. That is my Twitter name. At TTW Radio. I know Jeff, my co-host, always makes fun of the initials because TTW kind of sounds like you have to twinkle, tinkle, or whatever. But he's just being a smart ass about it, but that's okay. Get over it. um, so Hulk Hogan is now the quote unquote general manager of TNA Impact Wrestling. Translation: we need ratings other than the knockout division. And maybe if Hulk Hogan was, if this was 10, 15, 20 years ago, the ratings would go off the roof. But Hulk Hogan, like his body and like his career, has deteriorated. And it's just not what it once was. Now, I love the knockouts. Don't get me wrong. I do love the knockouts. And their hard work and their competitiveness and their passion. And I also love the fact that I didn't even close my door. But I guess it would not have mattered. I'm just being sarcastic as we get near the end of tonight's show. But TNA, they've been on for 10 years. And I did not realize this, but Ring of Honor has also been on for 10 years as well. I know the likes of a Christopher Daniels, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, a lot of people were at the Ring of Honor. And I seen their work. It is terrific. Let me tell you something. I did not watch Ring of Honor until I first moved back to Kentucky. Um, Apparently, they didn't have it in the Augusta, Georgia area, so I couldn't watch the TV tapings. But I can watch it now that I'm here in Frankfurt. And I'm starting to look around and see who my favorite wrestlers are. Let me give you my favorite wrestlers for Ring of Honor. I like Davey Richards. I'm a fan of him. I like Eddie Edwards. I'm a fan of him. And I like what's his name? The dude who calls himself Wrestling's Worst Nightmare. I like him too. Um, Now, I know Sarah Del Rey used to be there. That's how I first heard of Ring of Honor, because of Sarah Del Rey when I interviewed her last year. So apparently, Ring of Honor have been on for 10 years, and I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I'm heard of it. I was familiar with it, but I didn't get to watch their stuff until now. So I have a lot of catching up to do. But I like what I'm seeing in Ring of Honor. I really love it. I see Mia Yim is on there, and I also see Vita Scott is also on there. And I think Jeff would love Vita Scott because of the fact that she's redhead. He loves redhead women. Don't matter if they're wrestlers or actors, actresses. If you're a redhead and you're a good looker, whoo, Jeff will get he'll love you. I'll tell you that right now. So yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do. And as the show goes on, entering past the 1 year mark, I want to start interviewing people for Ring of Honor. I mean, I like those two guys, Alexander and his tag team partner, the brothers, as I like to call them. Yeah, redheads are awesome. Yes, they are. Vita Scott. Oh God, April Hunter, who I met at a convention and who I interview on my other show, Chillin'. Um, I love April Hunter. She's a looker. You know, she's got the look, she's got the physique, and she's a heck of a good wrestler. I love April Hunter. I've interviewed a couple of redhead wrestlers before, other than April Hunter. I interviewed Laura O'Shea from the West Coast. She's a redhead or a ginger. Um, but look, people just gonna have to. People just Lucky O'Shea. Yeah, Lucky O'Shea is her name. So people, y'all just gonna have to bear with me. I'm trying to watch more wrestling than WWE and TNA. I'm starting to watch Ring of Honor. Obviously, I do watch Ohio Valley Wrestling. I live in the territory of OVW for peeps' sake. And you know what? I definitely want to watch some Japanese wrestling too. Um, but this show mostly focus on WWE and TNA, but I will eventually talk some Ring of Honor and OVW and some other local wrestling stuff here in the Kentucky area. Oh yeah, Christy Hemme. I want to know what happened to Christy Hemme, the wrestler. That's what I want to know. I thought when she went to TNA, she wanted to be a wrestler. Um, I really when she went to TNA, she wrestled a little bit, and now she just focused on being a ring announcer. She's trying to get her Lillian Garcia on. Yeah, that's a lot on. Oh, okay. Scary neck injury. See, I'm out of the loop. I'm out of the loop when it comes to a lot of wrestlers. You have to excuse me. I watched WWE and TNA for so long. I just don't focus on other stuff. But now I'm focused on Shimmer and WSU. I get the downloads on clickwrestle.com for 75 cents. Um uh so yeah. Yeah, you know what? I guess I've never been labeled as a mark. I'm just a fan. I love wrestling. I'm passionate about wrestling. I love it. You know, I was young I get caught up into the favorite wrestlers. But as I grew older, I started to understand the wrestling and the storylines and stuff. I guess it happens. Some people don't get caught up into the storyline; they just want to see wrestling. But I'm starting to get a good feel of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, New Japan. Yeah, I watched a Japan match with MVP. Wow, he's still wearing that same Power Ranger outfit. Oh man, I remember when MVP debuted in the WWE, he was getting hit with the Power Ranger chants. Um, I will tell you that right now. He looked like a Power Ranger, okay, minus the mask. He kind of had that semi. It's more of a semi Power Ranger outfit, and he had the chain, the pendant on his neck. Um, but yeah, this show mostly focused on WWE, TNA, but I will eventually focus on other parts of wrestling. I'll leave the other wrestling to Mr. Smooth Gentleman, who you can check out on Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Um, and boy, I know this isn't wrestling related, but I gotta bring it up anyway. How about them Kentucky Wildcats, baby? Yes, sir. Kentucky with that eighth championship. And Calipari, he ain't going nowhere. He ain't going to the Knicks. Boy, you better not leave. But, college coaches, they leave all the time. But Calipari, you got a good thing going with Kentucky. Stay where you belong, man. But I want to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank the following people: Nikki Lane, Ruthless Lala, Savannah Wiley, and Nicole Savory. Thank you all for joining me. And don't forget, 1 year anniversary show of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Please check it out, folks. Check it out. And I'm about to get on out of here so I can watch my favorite TV show, Psych. Uh, I am Kenny C, and I'm signing off. You all have a good evening, and support your favorite wrestling, whatever it is may be, indie, pro, don't matter. Wrestling is wrestling at the end of the day. Um, I need to come up with a cliche or a mantra ending. I haven't figured out one just yet, but I will at some point. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Smooth. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You all have a good night. I'm Kenny C. I'm signing off. Peace out. Yeah, see? I'm out of the loop. It's your boy Kenny C. If you're listening on the Ustream side, we're about to wrap things up and get on out of here. Um, if I can find a way to close this right here. That will conclude Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Thank you all for listening. Much love. And I'm out of here. Just gonna shut everything down. Shut them down! So yeah.